Welcome back. This is another Into the Infinite video, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Charlie. Thank you for joining me here again. So I wanted to make a quick video about narratives. So I was kind of mulling about, and this has been on my mind for a couple days, and I was just thinking about how what really came to mind through all of this was that you get to choose, right? What I titled this tentatively in my notes was on when people tried to tell you who you are. And then the other one was that you get to decide the narrative. So I wanted to do the you get to decide the narrative first and really focus on that. And, you know, what are you thinking about what you're going to let be the most real to you, right? There's a certain collective thing, like stuff that we've collectively agreed. I feel like I've said collectively so many times, but we agree that it's real. We agree that that's the basis of a reality right here on this plane on Earth. So we say that that's real, but there's also a whole bunch of other stuff that you get to decide whether that's real. You get to decide whether that has value and worth and is important to you. I think that what I really found most important about thinking this through is that people will be very eager to tell you who you are when you outlive your usefulness to them. They will be, hurtful. They will be sometimes indifferent, and that's amazing. But what I have started to understand is that you get to decide what's real, and you get to decide what's real through your investment in a specific energy. Now, I say that meaning like worry, even if the energy you're investing in is worry, even if the energy you're investing in is, something as seemingly passing or fleeting as frustration, all of it is calling something back to you or reflecting back to you something about your worth. So when we are investing in a narrative or in a belief that others have or in energy exchange, right? It really is kind of calling something back, and we can pick up the phone or we can say, yeah, I'm gonna let that go to voicemail. It's okay. I don't have to respond to that. And there's a tarot reader, G, on YouTube, who I've really her stuff lately has been amazing, and it's something that was really highlighted for me about reactions. And energy is an exchange all the time, and what's happening is when someone wants a reaction from us, and even if they don't, when we react to them, what we're doing is investing our energy in something. So if you react instead of respond or be proactive, what you're actually doing is giving your energy away. So why do it, right? A Course in Miracles talks about how everything, basically nothing is real aside from the meaning that we give it. That's in the workbook side in the back. So if you're looking for where that is or for a quote, it's in the back part in the workbook for students. But everything around us, we give meaning to all the time. Like all of those books have thoughts in it that we've collectively agreed are important in some capacity. And then because we have those books with those thoughts, then we apply them and we embody them and bring them into our lives. And then we make meanings and buy into narratives about our importance and all of that stuff. And fundamentally, I think everyone here has a very important role to play in, where we're headed. And right now, that's really important. And I think that what's become clear to me is just that we have opportunities in these moments where people say, like, here's a narrative that I would like you to believe about yourself. Sometimes it's so benign. It's not even something that is in your face. It's not an in your face scenario. Sometimes it's just your reaction. You're being invited to consider your response, and as a result, consider who you are at the same time, right? And this was somewhat influenced by, for me at least, I was listening to Gary John Bishop on Tom Bilyeu's Impact Theory podcast, and he was talking about narratives and how he built these narratives. And they created worlds. They created a whole world between him and his mother, and how horrible that was, and how much he invested in that narrative, and how hard done to he was because he wasn't getting what he wanted from her. And then the moment that he stopped investing in that narrative, his relationship with her changed overnight. And, that's not necessarily the case for everybody. But what I found really interesting about that, and then thinking about it in the context of all of this stuff, is just that we create whole worlds, and we do that every single day with every single response and every single reaction that we have. And, response, I think that the higher octave of reaction would be respond, I believe, linguistically at least, or etymologically speaking. So I think that we are invited to, higher octave or lower octave of those things, of narrative, and of what we're choosing to believe. So what are you choosing to believe? What are you choosing to believe? Are you choosing to believe in lack, and that, and I think what gets me here too is the way that some people cease to get what they want from someone, and so they just discard them. Like, they just stop being useful to them. So no, we're done. And like, that's okay. Like, if it's not a compatibility thing, then fine. Like, if it doesn't work like this, then okay. But human beings are not disposable, right? Like, so I think that there's something there. That's probably a whole other video. But when I think about creativity and this narrative building that we do, I think that we can really either block flow or open it based on the narratives that we are believing in, because they're creating a world. And we may not think that the beliefs that we hold about thing A are connected to thing B, but they really can be. Like, I think about the example with that John Gary Bishop used, or Gary John Bishop, sorry, I'm a little bit tired, but I think about the example that he used with his mother in that sense, right? And how he was in this battle in his mind all the time with her, and how that created a kind of trickle effect, because he felt hard done to by X, Y, and Z thing that wasn't even related, but that it kind of was in the end, because it reflected an overarching belief about something. So I think that when we talk about things like energy healing, or when we talk about things like healing in general, what we need to think about as well is, what are you making real? What are you making real through your beliefs? What, thinking that people owe you things, and all of that. It's yikes. It's quite yikes. And it's not always something like, and that may be a judgment of my own, right? Like, I recognize that may be a judgment of my own. So what am I calling to myself by thinking that, right? But I think that you should always be in a position of deciding who you are. And the way to do that, and the way through it, I made some notes today, but that I think that you have a choice as to whether you use these moments as opportunities to berate yourself and dive into narratives that you believe, or whether to keep investing in your own narrative and yourself, and one that empowers you and lifts you. And, when we talk about, I hear spiritual teachers talk about ascension a lot. And then, if we're thinking about that as well thrown into this, I think ascension is really looking at things from a higher perspective, and pulling back and saying, it's not about whether this is worth my time, because there's a person behind the thing that is worth your time sometimes, and that can be really hurtful and harmful, to think of people in disposable terms like that. But I think that we are all called and invited. I have a tickle in my throat, so I'm going to have a drink of water, and you're going to get to see my gigantic water bottle. Give me 2 seconds. I didn't have a cup, so I apologize. Yes, it's a big 4-liter jug of water. I drink one of these a day. It keeps me healthy. Some people might be like, that's too much. Maybe, but I'm good. So I think that invest in narratives that lift you, friends. Invest in narratives that lift you and that elevate you, not because you want to get something or feel superior or anything like that, because realistically, energy flows where attention goes. I think that's the way that the quote goes. But you're worth good things coming, and not because of lack or anything like that. But I think that there will always be moments where people will tell you who you are, be it directly or indirectly. So just make sure that you're deciding for you, because it's from the heart. Like, it's coming from a place of recognizing from here. It's an epiphany that's happening in here. And yeah, I think I've had so many different experiences with this as well as a trans person with coming out and all of that, because when you come out, you lose, in a sense, you lose control of the narrative, right? Like, people get to decide all of a sudden who you are, despite the fact that you tell them, I am trans and I am this, my name is Charlie, I am, these are my pronouns, but people make their own mind up. And so that's kind of come to the fore for me as well, with coming out and being trans. So it's all tangled up in a whole bunch of stuff. But I think that it's a good reminder. It's a good thing to remember for yourself that it's safe for you to decide a narrative that is in your highest good. Some of them may not feel like it, and it's okay. You can let those go. You can let them be, because at the end of the day, life is like really short. It's like this, right? And don't invest in narratives that reduce you. Don't invest in situations that make you feel less than, especially when people discard you, like, outliving your usefulness to people. I feel like it's very rampant. It's very rampant. And I'm not sitting here from like on high judging everybody, because in my 20s, I had to learn this the hard way, right? Like that's how you learn, is by being hurt and also unintentionally hurting others. That sucked, right? But it was a learning experience. So I think that with these things here is just, I feel like it all comes down to being kind to yourself. And it's been doing that a lot, like a lot of things, even with the journal prompts, and there's things that I've been trying to do with the journal prompts, and that's a whole other video together. But I think that it's about being kind to yourself and recognizing that if it doesn't resonate in your heart, it's okay to let it go. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay to let it go. Remember to invest in things that invest back in you, and that elevate you, because that's really important. There's one you, and if nobody else is going to invest in you, why shouldn't you, my darling? Why shouldn't you? So on that note, I am a bit on the tired side, so I will leave it there, but there's more videos coming, so I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for your time, your eyes, and I hope wherever you find yourself on the time-space continuum, be it morning, noon, or night, that this finds you absolutely well and shining, radiating even. So take care, my friend.